guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Steph and this is Ordinary Plant Girl. If you are new here, thank you for clicking on this video, and if you are returning, thank you so much for spending more of your time with me. Today I figured that we would kind of go over some of the things that I have propagating. So if that is something that you are interested in seeing, please stick around. Okay, so the audio is going to sound different because I'm not wearing my mic. I'm not wearing my mic because I've got my prop boxes in front of me, and I didn't want to, because my mic has a wire, I didn't want that to interfere with what I was doing or possibly get caught and I would break my camera, because that would be something that I would do. Let's get into some of these propagations. So as I said, I've got this Sterlite bin here. I've got two of them. And you'll notice right here that I have just a little stick that lets me vent the condensation out of there. So every time the prop box has too much condensation in it, I will just lift up a corner and let it vent out gradually. I don't even know if gradually works, but you know, it does what it needs to do. These ones in this box are pretty much my pride and joy babies, and I'm getting way better with labeling them too, so I know what they are, because I will forget. Okay, so let's start with some new ones that I put in here recently, which actually shocked the crap out of me. I did not do it on camera, but some of you may know I was talking about propagating my Philodendron gribbianum. Ever since I got it, I imported it last year, it lost all of its roots. It ended up being really, really leggy, so I decided to chop it. So this is one of them. The leaf is still doing okay. There's a little bit of damage on the back, but I don't think that'll matter. Now, when I pull on it, it's rooted. I'm not sure if you're gonna be able to see if it's gonna come across on camera, but it looks a little wrinkled. That was another reason why I propped this, was because this leaf in particular looked like it was dehydrated, and I wanted to see if I could rehydrate it. I mean, it's growing a root. I don't want to pull it out too much, but it's pretty stiff. It's pretty tight in there, so fingers crossed that that's going to work. So this is one of the gribbianums. I actually cut it into 3 pieces, 2 of which are in here, but this next one has completely impressed me. So I had originally started out with these gribbianum cuttings in water, and then once they started to grow a little bit of rootage, I put them in moss, pretty much because I needed the space where they were before, and because I had this box, I felt like it would be definitely a better situation for them. So I then went and I put them into moss. But this one has been, like I said, it's probably been about a week since I put them in there. But this one here is already showing a growth point. Now that wasn't in there when I put it into moss. So I'm really excited about this because I really liked this plant. I did import it from Ecuador, and it had, like I said, it's just been such a hassle. Well, not even a hassle. This one's been just, I'm surprised it's alive, honestly. So completely surprised that it's alive. And the fact that it's growing for me now, I mean, we've bonded. You always tend to bond with the plants that you have to work the hardest for, and the gribbianum was no exception to that rule. I have had to work for these ones. So I do have a third cutting, but it is in a different box, and we'll get to that one after. But continuing through this box, not recently, I think this one doesn't have a date on it, not recently, but I did cut up my Monstera Standleyana, which I've had for almost 3 years now. And I can say from my own personal experience, it is the hardest plant I have ever had to propagate. Ever. Anytime I've propagated this plant, nothing has survived. So I took these cuttings. There were a couple more. These were all like wet stick. And I'm pretty sure I took these at some point in the fall. And it has taken this long to get here. One of them actually died. I had 3 cups, and the wet sticks that I had in that cup died. There was just nothing left of them. I'm actually really surprised that this one is still doing so well considering how much white it has on it. But these ones here with the half moon variegation, they're the ones that I am the most excited about. But this one is starting to melt, and I don't know why. So my objective, oh, there's another little one. Oh, you can't. I always do that. I double fist things. I don't know if you can see. There you go. That one right there. Up here in the corner. Right there. That's another one that's coming out, and that looks all white. I don't know. But any of the cuttings that I've ever tried to put back in the soil have died. So what I'm trying to do with these ones is I will leave them in here for as long as possible. I'm not sure if I should, because these ones, these 2 have each got 2 leaves now, but I think I'm gonna wait until the leaves get to be a certain size. So those were my Monstera Standeliana cuttings, which I'm fingers crossed. At least, hopefully the half moon ones are gonna work for me, even if I get 1 cutting out of this that works for me. 1 plant, I'll be so happy. Okay, the next one is right now, it's like my pride and joy, but it is also up for sale. But out of all of the cuttings I've had of this plant, this one is the most amazing. So this is my Philodendron Rubrosynctum Platinum. And it's freaking gorgeous. So I got this. This was also an import, and it came with a huge chunk, which I cut up into 4 different cuttings. So I do have those cuttings in separate areas. I've got one in soil. I've got this one here in moss that was in the prop box. I've got, oh, I have 2 in soil. No, I actually have 3 in soil. All of those are in soil, and none of them have done as well as this one. And yes, I know it's mainly due to the high humidity of the prop box, but there's also, I don't know if you can see it there. Let's see if you can see it. There's a new leaf coming out right there too, so we'll see. But the more leaves it grows, the more I want to keep it. So somebody's gonna need to buy this baby, because otherwise it's getting a pole and it's gonna live here for the rest of its life. But it is such a beautiful plant, and none of the other cuttings have done, like, they're nowhere near this size at all. So this one I propagated and put in here July 28th of last year, but only recently has it been in a prop box. All right. Now the last 3 that are in this bin are all the same type of plant, but they've also all grown in different areas. They're all in here now, but they didn't all start off in here. So I will start off with this one. So this is the Philodendron Roseocataphyllum. So this one I propagated September 11th of 2022. And you can see it's got that nice new leaf that it's working on, and it's gonna be a decent size, probably bigger than this one. It's been in this prop box the same amount of time as the Rubrosynctum Platinum, and you can definitely tell because of the leaf size and just how well this is doing. I have started fertilizing them now too, but this one is rooted. It's well rooted in here too. You can barely tell the roots though from the moss, but there's a root right there. But it's doing so well. And I don't think that acclimating them out of the prop box will be too difficult because the box is vented, if not every day, every other day. So I don't think that that's going to be too much of a problem. So that's that Roseocataphyllum. The next one in here is this guy right here. So this was outside of the prop box for a long period of time, and the growth was so small that I recently, about 3 weeks ago, I think, I put these next two in here, and already you can tell, if you'd seen it beforehand, you'd be able to tell, but I can tell how much better it's doing in here just based on that. And this too has got, oh actually this one doesn't really look like it has too many roots going on there. So there's actually 2 wet sticks in here, so there's 2 completely different plants. And maybe I should separate them. Should I separate them into their own little things? That might be something that I can look into. Maybe I will. But it does look pretty cute though, just kind of busheled together like that. I mean, I like it. Okay, now, the last one, which is also a recent addition to the prop box, is this one right here. So there's just that little guy. And it's doing really well too. The leaves have definitely perked up. I'm not seeing a new leaf coming yet, actually, I think. So I don't know. I do have one that I'm keeping that is in soil and declined dramatically once it was put into soil. So I'm kind of trying to rehab that one. But as far as these Roseocataphyllums go, I'm pretty happy with... Okay, so now in the second prop box, I've got my smaller propagations. So same thing, little stick in there, venting. What's in here? I'm gonna lift this one up because it's a little bit lower and show you. Okay, so this one is kind of a little, it's full of misfits. Oh my goodness. Okay. Any of you that know that I haven't had any issues with my Hoyas growing, except for one. My Hoya obovata variegata, I've had that plant almost 3 years. For the life of me, has not grown a leaf. Just recently, I cut it up. I took 2 cuttings off it because I thought, hey, you know what? Maybe if I just give it a chop, it'll work. I mean, I've threatened other plants before. I've checked my Hoyas for, broad mites, flat mites, all of that. They didn't seem to have any of it, but what I did do was I did treat my Hoya obovata with a miticide, just in case. I mean, none of my other Hoyas have had any issues. Even the ones that were slow growing previously are now all of a sudden this year they've decided to grow. So, in the winter too, go figure. Anyway, I just noticed recently that my mother plant of my obovata had a leaf coming in. That leaf dried up and fell off, which was another reason why I was thinking about pests. But it is currently growing another leaf, and I'm so hyper aware of it, I'm making sure that that plant's got enough water. Anyway, I digress. I'm getting off track, but the reason why is because finally, one of my cuttings, I did lose one of the obovata cuttings. It died tragically. I tried to put it in perlite and it didn't work. This one is in moss, and would you look right there. I have finally got a growth point, and I actually didn't think this one was gonna do that. It has 2 new leaves growing. Two new leaves. The Hoya obovata is one of my favorite plants. It was a wish list plant for me for years. I finally got one recently, and I've had the variegated one for seriously almost 3 years. Not a thing. And even if the mother plant doesn't make it at this point, I've got this, and I'm so happy about it. Oh my goodness. Okay, you are staying in there for God knows how long. Okay, so that is my Hoya obovata variegata. So this brings me to this one, which is actually the top cutting of the Philodendron Grubianum. I finally ended up having to cut off the leaf that was here because it wouldn't unfurl. This second leaf is still trying to come out. I'm probably going to have to free it because this third leaf, this is the newest leaf, and this has already popped the sheath, but this one has not popped the previous sheath. So we're just gonna, because it's just been stuck like this for so long, and once I put it in the prop box, it did do more growing there. Okay, so perfect. So now I've freed this one and I can just get rid of this here. But this is the top cutting of the Grubianum. So you can see compared to the other leaves, this was the top of the plant and it was super leggy. You can tell that the bigger leaves on the bottom and the thicker stem on the bottom did not translate to the top of the plant. So it came out with this tiny leaf and then these two other tiny leaves. So I figured it was time to just chop it right down. We'll see what happens there. I'm sure I will probably sell at least one of them. Which one? I have no idea. Here is another problem child I have had for years. And this is my Philodendron bipenifolium. I got this as a cutting from a Facebook seller, and it had showed up as one long piece, an unrooted cutting, one long piece. I had cut it back because it was just shaped in a weird way that I couldn't do anything with. I had propagated it in water. It's been in soil. It's been a struggle. The base of the plant is currently trying to grow right now, which is fine. That seems to be what I do with everything these days, is just hack them right all the way down. But since I've put this in the prop box, we have had some like absolutely perfect growth. Like since I've had this plant, this is probably the largest leaf I've grown on it, and this is the propagation. This is the cutting. I can see the tip of another new leaf coming. So that's exciting. I'm excited to finally see this one grow because the bipenifolium is also called a horsehead plant, I believe. And I really want to see it have like that horsehead. When I got the cutting originally, it did have like one leaf like that, and then it died. Over here we have one of my Melanochrysum cuttings. Okay, so this wet stick has been in this cup probably for like a year, maybe more, maybe longer. I don't even know. I used to have it domed with another little 3-ounce cup with another 3-ounce cup right on top of it. I used to have it domed like that, and it rooted. You can't even see them because they're just completely green. They match the moss. You can't see them. You can tell by the amount of algae that is on this moss. I mean, it's been in here for a really long time. I'm surprised this moss hasn't like decomposed yet. It's been so long. But now, oh, you're never gonna be able to see this. I'll have to insert footage. But finally, as far as the Melanochrysum goes, there is a tiny, tiny little leaf growing. And that leaf only came out when I put it in the prop box. So why having it closed didn't work, but having it in here works? I don't know. Maybe it was going to do that anyway. I know that Melanochrysums are difficult when they're juvenile. So hopefully I can make this work. Ooh, this one, which I am praying for. I feel so bad that I had to do this. But February 19th, I put these in here, and this is what's left of my Philodendron Florida Bronze. So far, the top cutting, which is this little guy right here, so it has not rooted, but it's still alive. Now the Philodendron Florida Bronze is actually a plant that I have bought twice. This was my second one. I don't know why it is so difficult for me, but I'm determined because I love all the Philodendron Floridas. My Florida Ghost, my Florida Green, even like, it's not a Florida, but my Squamiferum. Just, I love the leaf shape of them so much, and I love that this plant, I like how it presents when the leaf comes out. It comes out a nice bronze color and everything before it fades down to green. I'm totally going to wreck this, and I don't want to, so I'm going to put it down. But that's my Philodendron Florida Bronze. Now here we have my Philodendron Melanonii, and it used to be a nice little plant. Again, it's one I've probably had almost 3 years, and it would grow minimally. And even as I look at the top of it right here, which is just it looks like a shriveled up little nub, which it is, but when I try to pull it, it is rooted in there. So I've got high hopes that this one actually does something too, because I've had this a long time, and I would hate to see it die when it barely got to live. So there's that little nub of something that I'm hoping to bring back. This one here is part of my Philodendron fibrosum. So this one I actually just put in here February 26th. My fibrosum was struggling. I had already taken a wet stick cutting off of it when I first got it, which is behind me, and it's growing, so I'm happy about that. And then this one is just the top cutting, what was left of it. All the leaves would continuously come out and rip themselves, so I know that was a humidity thing. And I'm hoping that I can save this portion. Like I said, I do have another piece of the plant. So, I mean, I've got that, this, and 2 wet sticks that we will check today, and I bet any money they're dead. I bet. I just know they are. So that's my Philodendron fibrosum. I was going to say varicosum, which is just not the case. It's a little bit of a tight squeeze in here for these guys. Oh geez. So I've got another little one here that I just put in not even a week ago, and this is just some Philodendron Brandtianum cuttings. So I took these, I have my Brandtianum in kind of like a terrarium, and I had to leave the lid open for the past few months now because it was growing out of it. So I wanted to put the lid back on, and I cut the longest branch off so that it just gave me these little guys here. But we'll see, I've got 3 cuttings in here. I'll just put them back into the terrarium once they are big enough to go back in. Now this one, for anyone that's been with me for a while and knows about my trials and tribulations with my baby Philodendron gloriosum, baby G is what I call her. This is where we're at. She was growing leaves, everything was fine, it was all great. And then thrips. Oh, speaking of thrips, I do have to say that I found something that has worked for me in just getting rid of them. And I will have to tell you guys about that in another video, but my little baby gloriosum. You can see that it does have some new little green growth points there. There's 3 of them. Yes, there is. So there's 3 new little growth points. There's 3 new little growth points in here. So she is coming back. I do have to say that this gloriosum is a fighter. I have 3 gloriosums, and 2 of them are currently in this state. But this has always been the tiniest one. It was the first one that I got, and she does not stop fighting, and she's still continuing to fight now. So I will probably have this Gloriosum in some state until it's just a shriveled mess and doesn't want to grow anymore. So she is in here rehabbing again. Hi guys, I'm back. A couple of days have actually gone by. Life kind of got in the way between when I was filming that first part of the video and to now, but I actually thought about scrapping the whole thing and starting over, but I didn't do that. Instead, I'm going to finish this video out. Okay, so what I have here is my original itty bitty little prop box. For years it was just moss, but I recently transitioned it to a perlite prop box, and I am so happy for that. So what I'm going to show you is there's actually not much in here since I got the 2 bigger ones, but this is kind of where I keep all my itty bitty little guys. So I can't pull them out, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring you guys over here. We're going to do it this way, and I'm going to show you what is in this prop box, if I can actually remember what is in this prop box. So one of the ones I would like to start with is this little guy right here. So this was actually given to me as a Scindapsus blue, or a blue Scindapsus. I don't know what it's like, if that's a thing. I actually haven't Googled it to check, but I had this cutting, and it was just a rootless cutting. I had this sitting in water for over a year, and the roots would not develop. This leaf here was curled up like a taco the entire time, but it wouldn't die. Wouldn't produce any new growth, wouldn't produce any roots, but it wouldn't die. And then I decided that I would put it in a perlite prop box, and that's when I actually switched this box from moss to perlite. It was primarily for this one. And look at it now. Now this leaf has fully opened. I mean, it's had this leaf for well over a year. It was just so curled up, but now I'll get you in there as close as I can. This leaf was the one that was curled up. It didn't lose this leaf at all. It just stayed curled up the whole time. This back here behind this leaf, that is a root that popped up so quickly after I put this in a prop box that I was completely shaken by it. So this is a Scindapsus that I have had for so long that hasn't done anything, and I'm actually really surprised to see how well it grows and what it might actually be. I'm going to do some research and see if I can even find what this might be, but so far it's literally almost been 2 years, and this is finally what I get. And I'm probably going to leave it in here until it gets at least this leaf and another leaf unfurls, and before I even attempt to take it out of here. Okay, so that takes me over to this guy right here. And this one is it's one of my double hybrids. So it is the Crystallinum Magnificum Fergetii Luxurians Cross. This one I thought was actually a goner, and I put it in here and it has grown. These, like when I put it in here, it had no leaves. So it grew 3 leaves. One of them died off and I took it off, but those 2 leaves. And again, until it starts giving me more leaves, I am leaving it in here. The one thing I'm learning so much about when it comes to Anthurium seedlings is that I am going to leave them in a high humidity situation until they have enough leaves to sustain themselves. Because my other double hybrid now is going to have to come into here because it's not doing very well. It was unfurling a leaf, but the leaf hasn't unfurled, and it's not doing very well. So I'm going to put it in here too. These, I believe, are Monstera adansonii cuttings, or wet sticks.
I'm pretty sure that's what they are. This one is just gone like absolutely bonkers. It does have a little bit of damage right there, probably from leaning up against it. But that's what all these three are over here. I think that's what this one is too. We can't remember. This is a Syngonium. But what Syngonium, I don't know. It's probably part of my Syngonium albo. Because the only Syngoniums that I even currently have in my collection anymore are my Syngonium albo, which is mostly green, and I'm still debating on whether I want to keep that one. My Syngonium Wendlandii, which as well is not doing very well. My Chiapence and my Erythrophyllum. Those are the only Syngoniums I have, so I'm pretty sure this is an albo Syngonium. This is part of my Thanksgiving cactus. It's been in here for a long time. It was just something I just threw in there. I don't really need to keep it. I have 3 Thanksgiving cactuses and they all have different colored blooms. And I think this might be one of the salmon ones. I can't remember, but I just put it in there kind of just for something to do, see if it would work. And so far it's rooting, so that's great. Over here we have a Dischidia ovata leaf, which surprisingly did well. The other 2 that I had in here rotted and died, so I'm surprised that that one's still there. This is just a Hawaiian Royal Purple that I put in here because I've tried to put it in a pot repeatedly, but because of the way it's shaped, I can't get it in. I can't get it into a situation. I probably should just throw it away, but I don't have the heart to do that. These 2 wet sticks here, again, just for experiment's sake, are part of my Hoya australis. I chopped my Hoya australis up because it was having problems with uptaking water in one part of the plant. So I just kind of chopped the whole thing down, and I'm propagating a lot of it. You'll see that as well as we go through. But these 2 wet sticks are just from my Hoya australis. And I think these are also Hoya australis ones, but these are so much more woody that I think it's going to take a while for them to even do anything. And these ones haven't actually been in here for very long. So that's what I have in this perlite prop box. Okay, so that only leaves me a couple more things. Okay, so since I was talking about the Hoya australis, this is pretty much the top cutting of the main branch. This cutting did not have any problems uptaking water. I just cut it off because once I cut the other 2 branches down, it was just kind of lopsided. So I just wanted to cut the whole thing back, and I chopped this top piece off. And it hasn't been in here very long, but we'll see what happens. I usually don't have any problems propagating Hoyas in moss, so let's hope that works. But I do have more pieces of it here in perlite. And again, they haven't been in here very long, maybe a week. And these are the ones that were having trouble uptaking water. So the leaves they've actually plumped up quite a bit. So the leaves that are in here, there's 3 of them, 2 cuttings, but 3 leaves. And they were so wrinkled. They were so wrinkled that I did not think that they were going to survive. And right now they're doing pretty good. So I'm completely impressed by that. But yeah, so I've got these ones in perlite because we were having problems uptaking water, and I have these ones in moss just basically to root them. They were absolutely fine. I had no problems, but I just chopped them off the plant as it was. And then last, in this bowl, I used to have my Monstera Silvalicana cuttings, and I have since taken them out. My Jade Scindapsus. So I got my Jade Scindapsus a while ago. I got it as a cutting in a trade, and what I've been doing over the course of the past 6 months, once it finally decided to root itself and grow, is I've been propagating and replanting back into the pot. So I've recently done that. I had about 3 cuttings that I had rooting in water, but this one cutting would not root in water. I don't know why.
So I put it in moss, but okay, so no. Yeah, I see there's like no root growth there whatsoever. So I'm gonna leave it in here and see how that does. Anyway, that is what I've got for you guys for my cuttings. Okay, so I'm so glad I got to finish out this video. I honestly don't know what happened last week when I went to film this and I completely got sidetracked and then just a whole bunch of stuff happened. But thank you all for being here. I hope you are all safe and well. Please like and consider subscribing to my channel and leave any comments below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.